it's another weekend. Welcome to Week in Review on Trust Television, where we'll take a look at some of the biggest stories that occurred in the past few days. And of course, it's been a big week for political activities and other stories. And that's what we'll be doing today as we take you through some of the stories maybe you've missed over the week. And we'll start with the story that has to do with relatives of the released train attack victims. But before that, my name is Martia Umar. Remember that some of the attack victims of the train attack were released last week, but relatives of the released train attack victims have called on government to redouble efforts to secure the release of the remaining 50 persons who are still in captivity. And the relatives told Trust TV that it has been traumatic living without their loved ones. Let's take a look at the report.
Amina Jibril and her husband, Hassan Jibril, were among passengers that boarded the Abuja-Kaduna train that was attacked by terrorists. They spent more than 2 months in the hands of their abductors. Although her husband, Hassan Jibril, is yet to be released, the family is, however, happy to reunite with Amina, while hoping that they will sooner than later share the same moment with her husband.
My mother is Amina. She was just released 2 days ago. I feel really happy to see her here, but we won't say we are fully happy because my dad is still there. And she that is released, she wouldn't feel happy because she knows that her husband is there. And we, the relatives, will also not feel so happy because our dad is there too. And not just our dad alone, there are other people there. So how can we be happy? Like it's been said that even if we cannot share in religion or in tribe or in anything, at least we should share in humanity.
It's terrible, my brother. We can imagine the thinking, the suffering day and night, thinking about them. Since on the 20th of March till day before yesterday.
The family says it has been a traumatic experience living without Amina and her husband, Hassan. Sani Lawal, who is an elder brother to Hassan, called on government to facilitate the release of the remaining 50 people still in captivity.
Out of 61, now we've got 11. So we are not even having a quarter of the victims. So we still need government to redouble effort to make the whole 50 remaining victims to as quickly as possible in the next couple of days to reunite with us.
The release of 11 victims left many families whose relatives are still with the abductors devastated as they continue to hope against hope that they will one day reunite with them.
And with over 2 decades of democracy in Nigeria, the nation is still taking baby steps, as according to many, in defining the social contract between people and those who personify the state. As Nigerians observed Democracy Day that was on the 12th of June 2022, Trust TV correspondent interrogated the inability of state actors at all levels to fulfill their fundamental purpose through actions or inactions. Take a look.
Nigeria, like other emerging economies, is grappling with social and economic challenges that are threatening its existence. Nigeria had dreams of bright and prosperous future, better economy, improved standard of living and security when the nation adopted democracy in 1999.
I accept this destiny in all humility and with the full belief that with the backing and support of our people, we shall not fail.
Of the many definitions of democracy, the one offered by Abraham Lincoln that says government of the people, for the people, by the people, is the one that has grabbed the attention of Nigerians. Sadly, there is very little correlation between the ideal and the practice of democracy in Nigeria today. This 12-year-old boy, who is apparently going blind due to lack of medical care, roams streets of Katsina State aimlessly. He said his parents were killed in the Northeast insurgency, which forced people out of their village with nowhere to go. The boy is now responsible for his little brother, who sleeps in the market. Despite being a victim, there is hope deep in his heart that there will come a leader one day that will change the situation of many children like him. For now, even as Nigeria observes Democracy Day, he sees no justice. Democracy practice in Nigeria has been described as hybrid combination of civil rule, militarism, and ethnic jingoism. Thrown into this mix are Nigerians who are increasingly pulling apart, unable to evolve national consensus to solve myriad of challenges or even come up with a common front to effectively contain the heightened insecurity, impunity, poverty, and hunger.
The masses are not helping matters. And that each and every one of us has been corrupted, already corrupted. The system that has been completely brought to the ground. That in fact, human life is worthless. Human blood is nothing.
Observers believe with no common national vision or aspiration that binds citizens, democracy is just a word, and the essence of celebrating a day that has no meaning to its populace is of no use.
They will tell you your government has no value for human lives, like your government has no value for human blood. This is the terrorist saying. Yes. And then look at the way people, and then the shocking part in a democratic dispensation, when people in, a woman and then a man in military dress, soldiers were going there into their communities, they were ambushed, slaughtered, and then hacked, and then to date, nothing happened.
For this young boy, his day for celebration will be when he can eat, go to school, and have a roof over his head and his brothers. At the moment, he said, the road is empty, long and lonely. He said he takes each day as it comes.
And in the course of the week, the House of Representatives resumed sitting. And one of the things they delved into first was the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, expressing displeasure over the outcome of some of the primaries that were conducted across the nation. Gbajabiamila said this at the resumption of plenary. The report.
Gbajabiamila, who said the outcome of the process shows complete disregard for the nation's democratic process, promised that the legislative arm will continue to fight for strengthening of democracy in the country. He called on members to set aside their feelings and concentrate on the various responsibilities each lawmaker has towards their constituents.
Honourable colleagues, it is rather unfortunate that the process went the way it went. I make bold to say here that the legislature has once again suffered losses. The loss really is not for members who lost. It's a loss to democracy, to the institution, and to the country. If it means anything, I know and I am aware that many of our members did not lose their primaries because they were rejected by their constituents. No, far from it. Many of our members lost because of the process which we foresaw in the House of Representatives.
The Speaker noted that the House will get back to work immediately to attend to bills that have overstayed as well as those still pending at committee levels.
We will also continue activities to ensure full implementation of the legislative agenda of the 9th House of Representatives. This includes consideration and passage of relevant legislation and other stakeholders' engagement and outreach efforts. Several legislative agenda bills have been in committee for longer than they should. Next week, I will invoke Order 18.3G to commit those bills to the Committee of the Whole or any other relevant committee of the House, unless provided with a compelling reason to do otherwise. We have a limited time left to live up to our commitments in our legislative agenda, and we must make the time count.
The Speaker promised to take advantage of the ongoing constitutional amendment process by the Committee on Constitution Review to look into critical areas for amendment, like the Gender Neutrality or Empowerment Bill, and come to a consensus. The House adjourned to Wednesday, June 15th, while a minute's silence was observed in honor of the late colleague Ekpayong Basi.
And the Nigerian Senate has asked security agencies in the country to improve on their intelligence gathering in order to avert any attack on citizens. The Senate at Wednesday's plenary also condemned the recent attack on St. Francis Catholic Church in Ondo State as scores of worshippers were killed. Let's take a look at the report.
This call by the Senate is sequel to the consideration of a motion tagged Killing of Worshippers in Owo, Ondo State, sponsored by Senator Ajayi Boroface. Boroface, in his presentation, noted with deep concern the attack on worshippers on Sunday, 5th June 2022, at St. Francis Catholic Church, Owo, Ondo State. 40 worshippers were killed during the attack, while about 80 are left with varying degrees of vital injuries. The lawmaker expressed the fear that such attack could lead to inter-religious conflict and ethnic war in the country.
Recommittal of the Environmental Health Officer Registration ETC Act 2002, Amendment B 2022 to the Committee of the Whole. The Senate recalls that the Environmental Health Officers Registration Act 2002, Amendment Bill 2022 was passed by the National Assembly and was transmitted to the President for assent. Observes that some fundamental issues which require fresh legislative action by both chambers of the National Assembly emerged after a critical analysis of the bill by Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief. Aware that a technical committee of the Senate and House Representatives and Directorate of Legal Services met and worked on the bill, relying on Order 1B and Order 52C of Senate Standing Order 2022 as amended. Accordingly, rescind the decision on the bill as passed and recommit same to the Committee of the Whole for consideration and passage.
The Senate has then asked the relevant agencies to intensify efforts to investigate the matter with the aim of bringing perpetrators to book. They are also to deploy drones and helicopters to monitor forests and ungoverned areas in Nigeria to identify illegal camps of armed bandits across the country.
And you're still watching Week in Review on Trust Television. We'll take more updates after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. If you're just joining us, this is Week in Review on Trust Television, where we take a look at some of the events that occurred in the past 7 days. Let's get to more reviews as victims of fire incident that razed down no fewer than 42 shops over the week at the Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University, Bauchi, say properties worth more than 60 million naira were destroyed in the morning inferno that happened on Wednesday during the course of the week. And the victims who spoke to Trust TV said that they have lost their means of livelihood and will need help to start afresh. Adamu Imam completes the story.
The affected traders are appealing for assistance from the government and management of the school. Chairman, Board of Trustees, Traders Association ATBU, Yakubu Yunusa, who is also a victim, made the appeal on behalf of the traders.
Virtually everybody has a generator here, and most of the generators we use now, they are sold at 350,000, 400,000, and we have photocopiers that are also sold at around 300 and so, and thereabout. So if you estimate here, the loss that we incurred is within the range of 60 million or so. Within the range of 60 million, that is the loss that were incurred here.
Yunusa revealed that the fire started while only 2 security guards were on ground. He said the guards contacted the university fire unit for rescue to no avail.
It's concerned, right from the school management, the state, and also the federal, that in situations like this, you don't leave your vehicle that is meant to serve an emergency purpose. You left it in a situation like this that will result into a huge loss to people like this.
Another victim, Ustaz Saddam Ibrahim, appealed for assistance over the lost, noting that he is left with nothing after 30 years of doing business in the school.
Our work. We don't have anything. It's only this work we are doing. And now we are done. And before this incident, we know that there is a strike. Since the last 3 years, I think we stay only for 3 months in this school. After Corona, I spent 1 year. We enter a strike for 9 months. After then, we can enter for holidays for 4 months. After then, we can do another 4 months. So you can see, we are done.
Some staff of the institution who are not happy with the incident attributed the incident to negligence.
I say university, not state poly, not the federal polytechnic. It's a university. Even ATBU teaching hospital, they are under university. So it is a very shame if people are hearing things that even a common battle is a disgrace to us.
As what I heard from those people that affected with things, since the event took place around 1:45 at the night a.m., they called the attention to the management and fire service at the same time, different fire service, but none of them is affected, especially for, we can say, is negligence. How comes as a university concerned, the whole university, we have about 6 faculties, more than 20,000 students, but we don't have a functional fire service.
Meanwhile, effort to get response from the school authority proved abortive. Adam Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
And now we'll move to Plateau State, where residents of Wurakom community of Bassa local government area of Plateau State are decrying cases where suspected ritualists exhume corpses for ritual purposes. The residents, while expressing worry over the development, described the situation as unfortunate. Ado Musa completes the story.
The community, through its leader, Aminu Babayo, explained that when a corpse is exhumed, some body parts will be removed, and in other cases, the graves will be dug and something inserted inside the grave for ritual purposes. He is worried that such could result in a calamity that will have consequences on the generality of the community. Yes, it is true. It is happening. We have been experiencing such activities in our community cemetery. It has happened about 4 times now. Some months back, when a woman was buried, that very night, her corpse was exhumed and certain parts of her body were removed. A few weeks later, another corpse of a teenage boy was exhumed and some parts cut. So, this has been a source of concern for us. Muhammad Arab, a resident of the area, also expressed worry over the incident. He said, "It is sad to see such activities happening in the area. We are not happy with what is happening here. We are praying to Allah to get us out of this problem. It is very, very unfortunate. We are calling on those behind these devilish acts to stop, as this will not bring meaningful development to them and the community as a whole." Babayo, however, called on members of the community to be vigilant and report any suspicious movement in the area. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
And away from Plateau State, the House of Representatives has tasked the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, on the need to extend the continuous voters registration by 60 days with a view to addressing the high rates of voter apathy ahead of the 2023 general elections. The lawmakers who spoke during the debate on the motion sponsored by Chairman House Committee on Media and Public Affairs, Honorable Benjamin Kalu, also tasked the Commission to deploy additional staff and voter registration machines across the country. He observed that the ongoing continuous voters registration by the Commission is scheduled to end on the 30th of June 2022 ahead of the 2023 general elections. And Bull differentiates many people if it doesn't continue or being extended as they describe, hence the need for INEC to examine its stance on the June deadline.
Scheduled to end on 30th June 2022. Ahead of the 2023 general elections. The House also notes that the decision to suspend the voters' registration is in line with the provisions of the Electoral Act 2022, which requires INEC to suspend voters' registration at least 60 days before an election. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, the House is aware that in April 2022, INEC declared that about 42% of the voters' registration recorded since the commencement of continuous voters' registration on 28 June 2021 were invalid, with about 20 million unclaimed permanent voters' cards, PVC. Mr. Speaker, the House is cognizant of the large number of unregistered eligible voters willing to be registered, as evidenced by the crowd seen at various registration centers, resulting in congestion. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, the House is concerned by reports of shortages of voters' registration machines, inadequate manpower, and personnel at registration centers, which may lead to frustrations among prospective registrants, and in some areas, and in some cases, unrest at some registration centers.
Honorable Kalu's motion is basically to ask for an extension of 60 days for registration.
And the wait for the vice president, that's the running mate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, and who bears the flag with Atiku, has finally come to an end, as over the week he picked a vice president for himself, and this vice presidential candidate was a consensus according to the party across all political parties, as mandated by the Independent National Electoral Commission for the deadline, which is on June 17th. And the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, nominated Delta State Governor Ifeanyi Okowa as running mate for the 2023 presidential election. Atiku made the announcement at a meeting attended by PDP stakeholders at the party's headquarters in Abuja, after a 17-member committee had been set up by the party through its National Working Committee to fill the vice presidential candidate slot. Trust TV's Aisha Salih visited the PDP's National Secretariat, where this happened, and she reports. Addressing members of the Board of Trustees at the announcement event, the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, said making a choice among Delta State Governor Ifeanyi Okowa, his Rivers State counterpart Nyesom Wike, and the Akwa Ibom State Governor Udom Emmanuel had been a difficult decision, noting that he looked out for someone who understands the enormity of the challenges facing the country and has demonstrated from experience the ability to provide solutions.
I'm pleased, therefore, to announce here my choice of running mate who will help lead us to victory next year, not only in the presidential election, but also in the governorship and legislative elections. And he will be by my side as I work hard every day to provide our people with security, revive our economy, improve education, and unite our country. He has both legislative and executive experiences. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the ticket the next Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Governor Ifeanyi Okowa.
The newly nominated running mate and Delta State Governor Ifeanyi Okowa accepted the nomination and pledged allegiance to his new principle. He solicited for support from party members and Nigerians at large to enable the party win the election and return to power in 2023.
Election. Thank you and God bless you all.
Look here. Mr. President, I'm waiting. I must truly thank you for finding me worthy to be on this ticket. I do know that it was a very tough decision, even as we have spoken this afternoon. But I thank God that among my very qualified colleagues, even those more qualified than myself, that I find favor and appear today as the vice presidential candidate of the party.
With political parties expected to file in the names of presidential candidates and their running mates latest Friday, June 17th, the opposition party has stated its resolve to ensure the success of the ticket at the presidential poll. Aisha Salihu, Trust TV News, Abuja. And that brings us to the end of Week in Review. Don't forget to join us next time, next week on the same station, Trust Television. My name is Martia Umar, but remember, for more updates, you can follow us across all our social media platforms. Thank you very much for being a part of Week in Review. I'll see you again next week.